Listening is the most underrated skill on the planet. Let's go back to why. The meaning in life is learning. And there is so much data and information out there for us to learn and fill our cup of knowledge that we will miss it if we don't listen. You hire people in your businesses which are incredibly skilled, but we choose not to listen to them. We don't create platforms where that they can give us feedback. We don't create environments in meetings where they can get to choose to talk first so you can listen, right? So we miss out on so much by not leaning into one of our best skills, which is listening. There's a reason why we got two of those in one mouth, right? So I think the critical thing is with listening is use it as a form of education. Use it as a form of respect. And don't underestimate the fact that we do talk too much and we love as leaders the sounds of our own voice, right? Be the leader that is the last to talk. Be the leader that has a curious mind and will source out information to go into their ears to then fill their bucket. Be the leader or be the person that understands that listening is one of your most important traits. Here are some of the things I've learned from being an active listener. Listen intently. If someone actually is talking to you, don't have your phone that you're glancing to it. Don't look over their shoulder to see if there's someone more interesting to talk to. Be present because you'll miss out on some gold and some nuggets. And if you're finding they're not that interesting, politely close the conversation and go somewhere else. But at least when you're with someone, listen intently. The next one is ask questions. One of the most interesting conversations you can have is one that is interested and interesting. Now, think about that for a minute. Now, I have been to dinners where I've sat next to someone and at the end of it, they wouldn't even know my name. I spent the whole time talking about them. So were they interesting? I don't know. I was just being talked at. Was I interested? Probably not, because at no point it was an interactive. So I think it's really important you actually give and get with listening. The next one is balance a conversation. I think the skill of a conversation is really important. Sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I sit with someone and for some reason I've got nothing in common with them and I just leave that meeting or dinner and go, maybe it's me. I just cannot create a conversation. But I think if you can have not weather conversations or not kids or whatever, but if you can try and have a list of questions in your back pocket that starts to spark interesting conversations. ChatGPT, go and speak to them and say, I'm going to this event, give me 5 interesting conversations that will spark a conversation and use it. I must admit, I've been married 30 years and we will often go to dinner, my husband and I. We will go with questions to really spark conversations and spark a deeper conversation, not just about, so the kids are doing this and have you read in the news? Boring. If you start talking about the weather, it's going south and people are just filling in space. Air pollution. Look, this is obvious, but speak less and listen more. At the end of the day, no one learns anything from talking. So if you truly believe that life is about learning, then the only way to learn is to listen. The next one is when you speak, try and be relevant. If you're someone talking to someone that is from another industry or from another area, try and find a common link that you can talk about. And maybe with the kids, maybe that might be the link. It could be, ask questions about their social life. Okay, maybe both of you surf, or maybe both of you have a dog, or maybe try and find the common element that you can start sparking a conversation and then go down that path. Equally, ask questions that inspire more interesting conversation. We had at Boost in the early days, when you started at Boost, you had to say 3 things about yourself that you didn't think anyone would know. Some of the things that came out were extraordinary. I found out that my PA was a dolphin trainer and then someone else was in some, obscure play. People have these great lives and it completely breaks the ice. The final one is take notes. Now, this may be just for me. I find that if I'm in a meeting with someone or I've had lunch with them or coffee and I really want to pick their brains, I take notes. And even if I'm talking to someone, I'll make a note of something I want to respond to them with, but I don't want to interrupt them. I don't know about you, and it might be just a me thing, but you know when you're with someone and they've made a point and you have a really good point to make back or contribute to the conversation, but then you lose it and then they move on to the conversation and you go, oh, I could have contributed. That's what I just make notes. I just write. I think to help memory, or multiple senses need to kick in so you don't forget things. Now that may be just a me trait, but I know that works for me. Look, I think listening is super important. It helps you to learn, it helps you connect to people, and it helps you to connect to people on a level that might even surprise you.